Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right. I've been praying pretty good, man. This morning, I definitely was feeling the power of the Holy Spirit with me, comforting me through the latest difficulties in my life. But I can tell you, I got more good to say than bad right now, because I finally submitted to the GR people the Fidelity account information. I hadn't transferred that money out until a few days ago when I needed to, so it was too much in there at the time to provide them that information. But I did that this morning. What am I seeing on my eyeball? Am I tripping? Something on my eye. I know y'all probably saw that. I don't know where it went, but at any rate, I don't know where that went. That information is there, so hopefully that'll be the last step. If they were waiting for that, I don't think they were waiting for that, to be honest with you, because I never told them that I had it the second go around when I applied for GR. But nevertheless, I put it up there since it's where it needs to be. So ain't no sense in me holding back the information if it's the correct information I need anyway. I'm not lying about anything. It's exactly where they want it. So yeah, man, feel all right, man. I felt a little stressed this morning about situations that I've always complained about. My homegirl Kay, it's always something. Last night she was hitting me up, and the conversation didn't go well. And that's really what it came down to. We didn't have an argument, but she just did not receive. She wasn't trying to hear nothing I was saying in regards to her situation specifically. You know, I made the mistake of asking her how she was doing. Sometimes you ask people how they doing, and they start telling you stuff. If you don't respond well to what it is they saying, they shut you off. And that's what happened last night. She's just very sensitive to what's going on in her personal life. Not to get into it, because obviously she's sensitive about it. But you know, I was trying to give her feedback in regards to something that I had seen in my life, and she cut that off. She essentially was saying, that's not what it is, more or less. It's hard to explain what I'm saying without getting into details, but I feel like it's probably best not to get into details. But the moral of the story was, she shut me off again. And then this morning she blocked me on her DMs because I responded to her shutting me off with a little more than a couple of DMs, VMs, voice messages, just essentially telling her the truth. I don't think it was what I said that offended her. I think that she saw so many of them, was overwhelmed by them. And that's essentially what she was saying. Like, you know, this is too much for me. And so I said, all right, man. You know, 2 weeks ago, I was really sad about her going ghost on me. Today, I was pretty embarrassed about being blocked on her DMs. I didn't really want to tell you guys that, because I'm like, you know, I've been hitting her up a lot on the DMs. I told you I probably sent too much over the last several weeks. She finally told me it was too much, and I respect that. And I told her with one single text that I wouldn't bother her again, you know. But this morning, more than anything, I'm feeling embarrassed, because it just gets to a point where you do have to have discipline, and you got to know when it is too much. And I pride myself on giving people space, but sometimes my mind just doesn't allow me to communicate less. That's why I have this channel, because I'm a wordy person. I communicate a lot. And so that's about as much of that as I really have to say. I prayed so many prayers against what otherwise would be depressed energy or sad energy. I'm not confused about what she's doing there in this situation. I think she made the right decision in blocking me, because obviously I ain't got no self-control when it comes to sending too much. So you just gotta live with that, you know what I mean? And look, I prayed a lot of prayers this morning, and one thing I realized, I didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve that at all. That's what it really comes down to. When you really show somebody you care, but they're not receptive to your form of care, because what you say may either be off base, or you're making them face something that they don't want to face. It can go a lot of different ways. And one of the ways it can go is them shutting you off. And that's what I think happened there. I think it was me saying something to her that triggered her what she's trying to more or less not deal with. And that's who I am. This is not the first person I've done that with, because I am the way that I am, to where I'm alone 100% of the time and have been that way for a long time. Anytime I have emotions, I deal with them. I ripped the Band-Aid off of everything. That's how I am on this channel. You know, I'm the type of person that'll tell you all of my traumas. You know, y'all know the worst stuff that's ever happened to me. Comfortable with it. I don't live in denial. I really don't. I don't live in spaces where I'm pretending to be fine when I'm not. And so when I run into people who may be, and I try ripping the Band-Aid off in conversation, they think I'm trying to project a certain, well, in this case, I'll say she was thinking I was trying to project a certain trauma into her life that she said wasn't there. But that wasn't what I was doing. I was just leaving room for it. You know what I mean? It's like, what you're going through seems like it would be very difficult. More or less, I was showing concern. And she took that as if I was misunderstanding the point of view she was making. The point she was trying to make. It's like, you trying to make it sound like I'm unhappy. I ain't unhappy. We doing good. It's like, but what you just said is something that lended itself to the fact that you were barely holding on in the situation you're talking about. That's what it was. She alluded to it in such a way, and DMs can kind of be lost in translation when you text and talk that way. When there's no voice, no way of looking at somebody in their face to see how they speaking or whatever. It can misconstrue things, and I think that might have been part of the problem as well. She might have taken what I was saying the wrong way. She got quickly frustrated, not wanting to explain herself, which is a big thing with her. She don't want to communicate at all. It seems like when she explains herself, she said something along the lines of, you don't understand. It's like, you don't communicate enough for one to understand, but I don't think that's something she cares to do. And so it's one of those situations where she was combative without actually really giving me room to have considered all possibilities and what it was I was trying to word. In other words, I was saying it could be this way, it could be that way. She was taking it as if I was saying it's definitely that way, and I'm taking it that way. And when she started doing, when she started showing me the defensive energy of it, I had brought up something that I had seen in that regard, in regards to an example of what it was that I thought she was showing me. And I was just saying, that's why I've showed so much concern in this, because I've seen something that wasn't positive. And she's simply saying, no, it's not positive. It's not negative. It's positive. We're doing great. It's that kind of thing. And it's like, but most people in your situation, to my knowledge, it's a struggle for what she's going through. And so that's what it really came down to. I'm like, I'm just saying to you that God don't give us more than we can handle, and it's not on you to hold the burden of what it is that I see you holding. And she was like, it ain't no burden, it's that kind of thing. And I'm like, all right. She was like, you know what? I just got to get away from you, because you put negativity in a situation that ain't, and you applying some perceived trauma to what it is I'm talking about. Not in those words, but it's more or less like I'm trying to bring negativity to the conversation when she's trying to remain positive. And I'm like, well, I can see where that could be the case, because that's a problem that I have. I'm not a negative person, but like I said, I ripped the Band-Aid off of stuff. And when you tell me something surface, like everything is fine, if I look around you and I see your situation and everything ain't fine, I'm likely going to acknowledge that you're going through something, and that I'm rooting for you to succeed. Instead of saying, oh, for sure, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, good. I'm glad y'all great. I said, yeah, I'm glad y'all great, but I also said, I know how this can be. And that was offensive to her, because she's trying her very best to not acknowledge any sign of negativity, it appears to me. And that's a certain level of denial that she's going to have to work her way through. If that's what it is, or maybe I'm way off base and that's the problem. Maybe that is it. Maybe I've overstepped. That's fine. Sometimes people overstep, but when you find yourself communicating with somebody and they try to make you feel as bad as you made them feel every time they feel like you're trying to make them bad, even when you're not trying to make them feel bad, and they do things that show disrespect, in the name of what they feel has hurt them, they just start to defend themselves in such a way as if you tried to hurt them on purpose. It's like, how many people gotta get hurt for you to feel better? That was one of the things I said in her DMs. Like, how many people gotta hurt for you to feel better? How many people do you need to knock down to feel like you've gotten your pound of flesh? You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. And so I don't understand where she's coming from with that. If you know, that's how I perceive it though. It's like every time I say something she may not like, she has to get disrespectful. And so for me, I'm like, all right, I got it. You got it, friend. I'm not where I was 2 weeks ago when that really bothered me. I prayed prayers around that. I've come to understand a bit better. And I know that I didn't do anything in this conversation that would garner being disrespected or being left to talk to myself. I think that she's in a certain level of denial about her circumstance. Regardless of how I perceive it, she's showing signs of that. And I think it would be easier if I weren't smart enough to see that. I think that's what it really comes down to. It would be a lot easier for her if I wasn't so damn intuitive and so damn old, you know what I mean? To where I've been seeing how people live in denial and know the signs, you know, in such a way that I know what you look like after you've healed. You know, it's like I know what you're going to say when you come back around and are outside of this circumstance and say, I just wasn't ready for this conversation. That's all this is. And so for me, it's like I can't get too upset because people really do have different ways of coping with what hurts and different ways of addressing or not addressing what they're afraid of. And in this case, I believe she's just very much afraid of things falling apart and what she got going on over there. And that's okay. And maybe I can't relate to that because I'm not from that world. Maybe that's why I shouldn't be overstepping. And that's also what I was saying in one of them DMs. There's a lot of self-reflection. I wasn't really getting on her. I was more so saying, man, sometimes I just think I know more than I do, and I've been wrong in the past. Sometimes some things that I think I can relate to, maybe I can't relate to it because I ain't been in it. That's what this has taught me, being in this situation I'm in, is to respect that experience is the best way to teach, not necessarily secondhand, you know, watching other people go through it or what have you. And so that's what I was trying to express to her in all them DMs that she probably didn't want to listen to because she probably thought I was just saying too much anyway. It might have been just too much for her to receive. But, you know, at the end of the day, man, I tell y'all the truth, man. I'm a communicator. And a lot of times I want people in my life who are not. For whatever reason, I try to find myself matched up with people who are much more surface level thinkers. You know, they want things to be as simple as whatever it is, and I don't. Nah, it ain't who I am. I'm gonna look at what you're saying. I'm gonna look at what's going on around you. I'm gonna look at how I'm acting. If possible, I'm gonna see my own self. I'm gonna have all the kinds of things to say. So if you ain't ready to have a conversation, I'm the wrong person to talk to. If you're the type of person that just needs somebody to lie about how they feeling and kind of direct your mind away from what's real, I'm horrible at that. I'm freaking horrible at that. I'm not the dude that's gonna tell you a joke, have you laughing, and then proceed to go off about a happy little la day. I just don't live that way. That's how my brain works. It's not what the gift that God has given me. He gives me the gift of analyzation, the gift of communication, the gift of being open and comfortable in my vulnerability. I'm looking to heal in a different way than a lot of people. Some people just need to push things aside, or maybe the way they heal is to deter their mind away from it. And so my understanding is that's not how that works. If you really want to deal with the problem, you got to get to the root of it, cry it out, and move on. You know, as I was meditating about this, the Lord was saying, you know, she's trying to run from certain cries. That's what the Lord was telling me. She's running from certain cries. She don't want to cry about certain things that she needs to cry about in order to heal about. I don't know if that's true. It's just what came to me. She's running from certain cries. And because I don't cry very much, I don't have that. That's not my thing. I don't react to my emotions that way. I don't know how it feels to hide from that. You know what I mean? Like, here's a problem. It's a problem. Deal with it. I cried when I was trying to get over certain things in my life in key moments, and I told y'all about that. But as far as me, like trying to be in a certain level of denial so that I can heal, to my understanding, that's not who I am. That's to my cognizance of self. That's not who I am at all. So I'm not good at dealing with people who need that from me. And I kind of wish I were better at that. You know, she did come in talking about the game. I asked her how she was doing. She told me how she was doing, and it was supposed to be fine. But what she said within what was supposed to be fine garnered a level of concern from me. And I expressed that concern, and she was offended by it. It's God's honest truth. You know, the first thing she was telling me is that, you know, don't overthink it. Don't overthink what we got going on in my household. And my thing was, I'm not. I'm praying and I'm listening. I don't know y'all to overthink your situation, but because you're a part of it and I care about you, I'm concerned about what it is we're talking about, because it's attached to you and I know you care a great deal about it. I think when in her life she may be used to people who are more combative, or people who have bad intentions when they look to say certain things about what you got going on. Maybe they looking to try to weasel their way into your life in such a way to take advantage. You know, a lot of people are used to negativity being around them. People who have, maybe they themselves are like that with others, so they automatically think that way about who's coming at them with certain things. I don't really know. I wish I could say I knew this person better, but she doesn't allow me to, you know. It's time to have conversations like this. They help. And so it's like, you know, I know that the Lord He wants to teach me some things. Maybe it would be a little better if I was a little more knowledgeable how to deal with this type of stuff without having the situation go left. But I guess this is how you get through it. This is how you learn those things, is to go through this, and then from there you can take it somewhere else. And so that's my thing, is that maybe I can learn something from this that allow me to be better in these situations later. And that's what I'm open to. I'm open to learning. And I'm open to healing, man. You know, she told me I had a lot of healing to do. She felt like I was bringing negativity to the situation and projecting a negative spotlight on her circumstance based on my own lack of healing and my own negative self. She said I'm a negative person. I don't believe that. I don't believe I am. In the midst of what I was saying, I may have worded things the wrong way, which could have lent itself to that. As I was listening back to the DMs, I thought that there was a point, and then I remember feeling this way when we were talking, where she was saying things to me that I did not like in responding to my concern. And I don't know how else to word that without getting into the conversation specifically, but I was fighting the need to respond negatively. And so I started to word things in some ways that maybe reflected a negative feedback from her. My tone wasn't chipper because she was being defensive toward me in ways that I was not very pleased with. And I think that might have been something that she was receiving as well. Can't do nothing about that. She was trying to start a fight. And I wasn't receiving it. I wasn't responding to it normally. I think that's what it is. I could probably use that pen. Okay. I'm looking at pens down here. Somebody dropped some pens. I'll take one. But hopefully I ain't got no COVID on or nothing. But these are the type of things I ain't got no pens in my backpack. And so this looks like a very brand new pen. God be the glory. But these are the type of things, it's like when you're dealing with people, sometimes depending on the person, your level of sensitivity may need to increase or decrease. This is what I learned from my homegirl Bronze. When I first started talking back with her as we were grown people, I started realizing her level of sensitivity for certain conversations was not the threshold that I was used to. I needed to tone down further from where I was used to being in order to properly communicate with her. She helped me learn to respect that kind of thing, rather than look at people and say, you got to meet my level of sensitivity. If I say something raw, that's what it is. It's like, nah, you got to meet their level of sensitivity, or else you ain't gonna be seen in the light that you can appreciate and the light that they respect. So now I have a better understanding of that type of concept. And I think that helps me here a bit. But, you know, I tell you all the truth, man. No one ever wants to be defended against when they're showing genuine concern. And that is exactly what I felt just happened to me. I was showing genuine concern, trying to show that I do care, and I got attacked like I don't care. And then when I tried to further express my acknowledgement of that, I got blocked. So it's obvious to me that that was an attack on my spirit, just like every other attack on my spirit. And I often tell y'all the enemy uses this person to attack me because he know he can, through her pain and my care for her, continue to bring forth something that will always bring me down by way of her protecting herself from the pain that she's often trying to protect herself from. So I look at it that way and went through the hardest of it 2 weeks ago. Got over it. We got back on a space where we were talking friendly again and being cool again. And then this happens again when I know darn well I wasn't trying to start a fight. I didn't think that I was doing anything that was disrespectful. I didn't think that I had done anything that deserved to be treated that way in regards to, being defended against, and then from there, more or less ignored again. I don't think I deserved that. I think there were some things I could have learned from the situation, but I don't think there was any other way to go about it. If I was going to have the notion that something wasn't right when she was telling me it was going to be a fight. That was her psychology. That was just all there was to it. If I were to make her acknowledge that something wasn't as great as she wants me to think it is, it wasn't going to be no acknowledgement that it's not as great. She would rather pour gasoline on the entire friendship than to communicate what otherwise she would rather not acknowledge. And that's what I truly believe. That's what I deeply believe. Now, whether or not I'm right or wrong, not sure. I really am not sure. But my gut of 39 years of life is telling me that baby girl is just in very deep denial and very afraid of what the negative aspects of this may look like, of her situation and what it is I'm perceiving could be a struggle. And so that's what it is, man. When you know you ain't do nothing wrong and you talk to God and he tells you're fine, I say, well, help me learn what I need to learn to smooth out the edges around my communication so that I'm not rupturing people's mindset or applying negativity to circumstances where they should not be. That's what I want God to help me with, because if I was using my own negativity and then listening to her and not necessarily taking what she was saying as face value for what she said I was flipping her words. I didn't think I was flipping her words. I was just reading in between them. But she said I was flipping her words and making it sound like it was something negative when it's not. I'm like, if that's what I'm doing, please help me not do that. Because I don't have any intentions of making people feel worse about stuff that they got going on in their own life. I want to, help. I care. That was the whole point. I think this could be difficult. Maybe a little more difficult than I thought. And maybe the word difficult is something that should be protected against in regards to even acknowledging certain things rather than dealing with them. And sometimes people look at their problems and they want to act in a way that destroys themselves. Sometimes not everybody's good at facing things, And so that's what I need to be a bit more mature about when dealing with other people. Like, just because I deal with all my problems alone, prayerful, all of this, doesn't mean that everybody's ready for that. That doesn't mean that I even know the first thing about what they need to do to be able to get up every day and keep everybody going. And another thing about that is, when you're trying to keep others going, what's the mentality of trying to keep other people good? I don't know a whole lot about that because I do everything alone. So it's like, if my incorporation of truth is going to deteriorate her mindset about keeping other people going, then I've become the problem when I was actually trying to be a solution. And so, where you at, bro? Where you at? That's what it really comes down to. At some point in time, we got to ask ourselves, if we're going to be a solution to somebody, Are we going to define what that means to them? Or are we going to let them define that and take cues from them? And I guess that's what I can learn from this, is maybe I was a bit more assumptive that my level of concern was going to be received in a positive light based on my lack of respect or understanding of how to keep morale high when someone's in a circumstance for which otherwise they need to be okay, even when it's not okay. And so that's what I think it is. I think she was in it. And it's like, you can't tell me it's bad when it's not great if I'm trying to keep things going and it's not great. You know what I mean? And so that's something that I don't think I related to very much in the moment. And maybe that's what I kind of take from the situation. And I felt like that's what it was. And so if that makes me wrong for her, then so be it. Because at the end of the day, I know for a fact that my intentions were pure. And then I know for a fact that just like I can't relate to that, she may not be able to relate to this. When you ain't got nothing but yourself to keep you going and a God that you serve to really keep you going, and ain't nobody around, ain't nobody been around for a long time, and it ain't my responsibility to keep nobody else going but me, heck yeah, I'm gonna rip the band-aid off of every emotional thing that I got to deal with because I have to. Heck yeah. And then on top of that, I was raised in a space where denial wasn't necessarily even in the conversation. I'm more so, let's deal with it. Not only let's deal with it, but I take pride in dealing with it. Hey, these are my flaws. This is what I got going on. I communicate a lot. I don't hide nothing. It's just a way of living. It's not the best way or the worst way. It's just my way. You know what I mean? I find solitude in communication. Look how many words I've used in the last 27 minutes. I'm not going to be able to get all my thoughts out in 3-4 DMs. I'm going to say them about 10, 12. And if you listen to all of them, you're going to learn a lot about me. But if you don't care to, won't be nothing there for you. And so growth is what I'm praying for the both of us, whether she wants to incorporate herself into my life or not. I think she's probably convinced herself that I'm her enemy at this point, if I'm being completely honest with you, or some annoyance that's trying to disrupt her peace with my negativity. The enemy can use you a lot of different ways if you're not open to the goodness in a person that's already proven himself to want good and better for you. It may take many years for her to understand what it is that I'm about, especially if she's in a type of mindset where she can't let certain things in. I can't do nothing about that. All I can do is continue to be tortured about wanting her to be a bit more open when she's unable to be. That's all I can get from that. That's all you can get from that. When you start realizing that a person's pointed in a direction that's only going to hurt you, no matter how much you try to get closer to them, you still gonna get the same result. And so I'm at a place where I said, just like yesterday I told y'all, and you point yourself at a person in regards to love and things like that, you're only gonna get so much. When you point yourself at the Spirit of the Lord in regards to these type of things, he can point you away from what's not meant for you, what's meant to hurt you. He can get you out of the denial that you would otherwise be in, that this person is for you when they are not. And that's what I'm hopeful he would do for me. Help her get through her denial, help me get through mine, whatever it may be. Obviously, it's hard to see it when you're in it, but for me, I feel like if I'm in any level of denial, it's that I can change this person to be who I need them to be in a short amount of time so I can stop going through the suffering that ultimately I go through when they do whatever the heck she's doing right now. You know, it's like the Lord can help me get used to being mistreated, but he can't make the mistreatment go away unless I'm open to that. And so I'm open to that. I'm like, look, man, 2 weeks ago I was down for a whole damn week because she was silent. I guess I'm supposed to do the same thing this week, but that is just not I'm not open to that. I understand that my intentions were good in this situation. I don't even remember what caused the last situation, if anything I did at all. But the one thing I ask from that the Lord do is just get us the help we need. Do I need help? For sure. And I'm going to have that on Wednesday. I got an appointment with a shrink on Wednesday. But she really does need to talk to somebody. She needs to talk to somebody, and I told her that in her DMs in one of them long messages that I sent. You got to talk to somebody. Make sure that what you're perceiving is going the right way, making sure that your hurt ain't hurting people you care about, making sure that your hurt ain't leading you astray. The fact that you ain't healed, hurt people. And that's exactly what's going on. She thinks I'm hurt, so I'm hurting her. I think she's hurt, she's hurting me. But hurt people regardless of what the truth is. And that is why I'm looking for healing. But you're not going to find that healing in hurting others. You're just going to find more reasons to dislike yourself. And I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for a way forward that doesn't have to do with hurting anybody, including myself, or letting anybody hurt me. You know? And so that's where I'm at with that. I want her to heal. Obviously, she's been through a lot. And she's trying to still deal with a lot, having not properly dealt with that trauma. And I don't know that I'm the best personality for the solution for that, based on her mentality and how she deals. I don't think I'm the right person for that. I think the right person in those type of situations can be a comedian. They'll deviate you from those problems while still hinting at some of the stuff that help you peel back the layers of the band-aids or whatever's there, rather than ripping that mug off like I'm accustomed to doing. Somebody who doesn't need as many words to provide feedback, who doesn't need as many words to communicate with you. That's what I believe she probably needs. Because I am a communicator. I don't have no problem giving you a full essay off the top of my dome, as you guys clearly see in every episode I do. And so I'm just open to the Lord putting me in a position to, first of all, not need anybody in regards to this type of thing. And second of all, be better for what it is that's happened here, not harbor any anger or lost time, resentment, that kind of thing, for pointing myself at somebody that may not have been right for me or is not right for me, or however that goes. And then it just make me be in a good space where I'm not letting the enemy scold me for doing the best I could. And that's what the enemy wants to do, is essentially scold me for caring about this person. Make me feel like caring about people is the wrong way to go. That's all this energy is really about. You show your interest in someone and people that you do not know in the hopes that things will be better for them, and get attacked for it. That's parallel with what is going on in a lot of situations where the enemy is trying to break your spirit, trying to break your heart, trying to make you not have the belief that doing good is the right thing for you. Doing good and being a good person is supposed to be something that the enemy is deterring from you, because it's ultimately what keeps him from being able to use you. So if I'm showing her, by way of my care for what she has going on, that she can too care for others and what they got going on, even if she's not involved, well, then I've effectively taken something from the enemy. If by way of the people who are going through the most difficult times, they show me a strength and a level of faith that blows my mind, I may then take that faith and apply it to another situation where the enemy otherwise wants me not to believe at all. And we're seeing that in life. That's why I know it when I see it. I know what the enemy's trying to do to me. And I tell you, the stronger I get closer to the Lord, the more I realize I don't have to harbor none of the feelings that come naturally from not knowing that as you go through these difficulties. It's just another attack, bro. And so as I tell the Lord often, I want to get stronger in regards to dealing with these type of attacks. And I want to learn the lessons on the surface so that I can be a better for what it is that would otherwise come my way in the form of communication with people and all these other things. But at the end of the day, I know what I'm dealing with. And the enemy doesn't own me. And it's up to everybody else to make sure that they don't own you too, man. The enemy doesn't own you. If you see examples of applied faith working, apply it to your world. The enemy always going to try to make you angry at him so you do something that works in his favor. people seeing what's going on overseas, now they want to turn into demons in the name of fighting that evil. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. All that does is play in the enemy's favor. He doesn't care nothing about who works for him, and he certainly don't give a damn about himself. So if you attack him and hurt your spirit in the process, he's won. It's a different type of energy there. He kamikaze all day long. He always want to hurt himself. And he always wants you to hurt yourself in the name of hurting him. He wants his reputation to be as bad as possible, so you can be mad and then be one of his. That don't work. We don't fight fire with fire. So when she blocked me this morning and I sent her the one little message that I sent her, I was like, look, I think you made the right decision. You know, sometimes I can control myself better. I won't contact you. I won't bother you again. That's what I told her. Not, why'd you disrespect me? You could have given me, you didn't have to do all that. That's normal energy. That's what the energy of the enemy wants me to do. That's what 9 out of 10 people are going to do. Is you put my ego out front and cuss her out for yet again disrespectful. And it's like, but that's like acting you don't know that the enemy's doing this. That's like acting like you believe that she's independent in regards to what's happening there. He's using her pain, try to turn me into somebody who's angry. Trying to use her pain to turn me into somebody who's too sad to walk down the street right now. Trying to use her pain to turn me into somebody who wants to get my pound of flesh out of sin like I used to do. I get hurt, now I want to do evil. Now when I get hurt, now I've already graduated from those classes. I don't harbor that anymore. I know that the Lord can move me on from one vessel from which happiness comes to the next. And I can take that happiness that is in me and carry it where I go. And the only thing that can stop that from happening is if I do exactly what the enemy wants me to do, for which everybody around me is likely to do, because most people don't understand what it is I know. So no, I'm not going to sit up there and get mad at her for doing what it is that otherwise is supposed to make me angry. No, I'm not going to continue to disrespect her in any way if she felt like she was disrespected by the energy that I was giving her. But I did want to communicate that the enemy didn't win, and I felt she made the right decision. I did need to stay out of her DMs, giving up so much information to her that she didn't want to receive. Sitting there talking to myself when she's not responding. The enemy was proud of me for doing that, you know what I mean? Because that could put me further in a position to where he could use more of that energy against me. I don't need that. I need help with that. And she provided it by blocking me. She did. Now I can't get in there and talk to myself and continue to get angry at the fact she's not responding, because she's permanently made it so that there will be no sending or responding. And so how do you want to look at that? Do you want to be angry about that? I mean, if I don't know that the Lord is with me in the situation, yeah, sure, I can be angry about that. What I can also realize is that the more good energy that I send her way in prayer, the more I respect her space, the more she gonna have to deal with what it is that's bad energy within her. And once that energy can't be matched, then it has to deal with itself. That's what I've learned. Once you kill kindness with kindness, now to kill, you got to kill hatred with kindness, or whatever the word, kill meanness with kindness. Once you do that, now the meanness got to deal with itself. It has to walk away from you, not matching its energy, and then figure out why the heck it did that. Then figure out how it wants to go about trying to attack you again, if that's what it needs to do. And for me, it's like, once that energy realizes it don't got nowhere to go, it's likely just gonna fall apart and die, because it ain't nothing but, it's weak anyway. The energy itself of negativity and hatred and evil is weak. It needs something to match it in order to actually accomplish what it's meant to be, which is a deteriorating entity meant to destroy you and me. It ain't gonna do that if it ain't got nothing to match it with, because it can't stand on its own. So it's just gonna deteriorate in the person, and eventually love will take over. And so that's what I come to understand. I took accountability in her inbox. Whenever she does go back to listen to those DMs, she gonna realize that, yeah, I held her accountable for what I felt. I said what it is I felt, but I also told her that I didn't know. And maybe there's a lot for me to grow from in this situation. She go back and listen to the DMs, she'll realize there wasn't nothing to run from. I wasn't sitting there cussing her out. I wasn't, you know what I mean? Well, none of that. But you got to listen to him before. You got to not run in order to be in that space. And the devil has a hold of her pain, so she's going to do the opposite. And my example is supposed to show her how that does not work and how to do something different. That's what I'm for. That's what I'm supposed to be in her life. And so it's like, when you know, you have a certain peace about that. And you know you can learn. As I was been talking about for the last 30 minutes, you can learn. Now I know how to be even better in these ways. Maybe I have a little more discipline. Maybe, whatever. She put me through a lot last week, or the week before last, being quiet, having me deal with myself that way. But I'm an energy of Christ. I'm a good man. So it's like, I can stand alone. You know what I mean? And then good things come back to me. It ain't like evil that can't stand by itself. I can stand and look in the mirror. When I know that I've given intentions that were good and I pointed my love toward Christ, I don't get to walk down the street feeling sad. That's not how that works. Now I get to walk down the street having put good energy into you guys based on what it is that she did that was supposed to send bad energy toward me. Truth. And she said that I was flipping her energy and flipping her words, but actuality, she was taking my kindness and my concern and flipped it into something that she needed to fight and combat. Just like we're seeing in other areas, the enemy will always deflect. He gonna tell you that you're doing what that energy is doing to you. We're seeing that in other areas. You know where that is. Calling people terrorists when you're actually terrorizing them. Same thing. Enemy is not a creative. I keep on telling y'all. And if you pay close attention, you can see the application of his ways in every single thing that he does. And this ain't no different. This is no different. All I was showing was genuine concern. Wasn't nothing supposed to be coming back my way if it were of God, but either correction or thank you. No combatants. Because I wasn't coming in attacking. So it's like, when you get it, you get it. You know what I mean? So I just get that, man. And I ask the Holy Spirit, keep me in a space where my ego doesn't get involved. As my day goes along and she continues to keep me blocked, don't let me change my mind about what it is that's ultimately going to help the situation in regards to myself. I got to deal with myself. And because I'm a man of God, I can do that. I can stand alone and be in a safe space because good keeps on giving if you allow it to. Evil will deteriorate if it stands alone. Good will just manifest more of itself. And that's what we're building upon. So that's what I want to say, man. I trust God. I trust him. I trust myself in regards to the ability to learn from these circumstances and still keep my energy high, and so long as I'm pointed toward God. And it's not going to be a whole lot more room for the enemy to use that person to hurt me. That once you start getting used to what it is, you start knowing where to place that energy in your life. I'm used to that. I'm getting used to that. Like, okay, this is how this works. And so that's how I feel about it. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm dancing because I'm not in denial, but I got the Holy Spirit with me when it comes to this type of situation. When it comes to that person, so many prayers have been prayed, it ain't even funny. So whatever needs to happen next, believe me, it's going to be handled the same way. And so, that's what I got to say, man. I'm thankful the Lord got me out of that house. I feel good. It's not too hot yet, although it feels like it may get a little hotter later. And I'm open to good energy, man. I'm open to love coming from the source in whatever form of vessels he wants to give it to me. Not necessarily pointing at her and saying, why isn't that love coming my way? No, that's not how this works anymore. That's not what we know. What we know is that the Lord puts in others what he wants there, and the enemy will try to corrupt that based on whatever way he can, through sin, through pain, through misunderstanding, through confusion. He will instill what he can in those who allow him in. And I've been used by the enemy many times, so I know that I'm not exempt from that. But when you start doing things the right way, it's very difficult for him to come in. And so that's what I'm trying to do, things the right way, and show it all to all of you. And as I continue to do that, he continues to attack me even more so. See how that works? The more I talk about the real stuff, the more I tend to find myself in situations that are meant to disrupt that. or meant to disrupt my brain. But the more he does it, the more I get used to it. The more he does it, the more he needs to apply to have the same effect. You know what I mean? And now I've seen how the Lord works in situations where when I handle it properly, the goodness that's supposed to be there always come back. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what it really is. So I'm not concerned about that right now. What I am concerned about is making sure that I learn the lesson I need to learn in this situation. Don't be too convinced that you know what someone's going through if they haven't convinced you that you know everything that you need to know. If they haven't explained certain things to you, don't take from other situations that you've seen and then simply apply it and think it's going to be received well, or think that you got it right. You may not. I learned that lesson a long time ago, being way off in people's life. And when I find out what it is that they actually had going on, I realized I was just being a bit presumptuous, if that's the word, presumptuous, I think is the word, and more or less overstepping, and needed to do more listening. And I communicated that last night as well. She heard me say that. So, you know what I mean? I know that that's a natural way for me to think I know. I don't. But in this situation, I don't find myself saying anything other than I was willing to listen, you know, and she didn't really want to talk. So that's just how that goes, man. But we all got to grow. We all got to grow. I got to grow from here. She has to grow from here. Whatever level of growth you're going, you're headed where you're headed. But one thing's for sure is if we keep our eyes on the Most High, it gets harder and harder for the enemy to abuse us and use us to abuse others. That much I'm certain of. Keep working on yourself. Keep believing in God, and take nothing from the enemy and return it with fire. You can't win that way. Kill him with kindness. Kill him with love. Kill him with accountability. The more of that you apply into your circumstances, the less the enemy will be able to do to you. The less he'll be able to do to others through you. Heal, friends. Heal. Let healing into your life. Talk to somebody if it helps that way. Meditate. Say your prayers. Talk to God before you go into these devices that have a lot of evil in them. Have a lot of devilish stuff attached to the music you listen to. Talk to God first. Let him in. That's what I've been doing. And now circumstances like this come around, I got not only the ability to be prayed up, but more of a practice in doing so. The enemy can do less and less to me because of that. Less and less. And so that's what I want to say to y'all. Get your minds and hearts in spaces that you know the Lord can reach you. Burn every bridge the enemy got toward you. Any bridge he wants to cross to get into your life, burn it. Sin, ego, nonsense, negative people, pray them all out of your life. Circumstances where you have to be a certain way in order for the peace to be found, and everything else is just crumbling down around you. Ask for the Lord to get you out of those situations. You don't have to be in those struggles. If you're the glue that keeps certain things going, then you know what you need to do to keep those things going. You definitely don't need to be harboring any anger toward others, any anger toward yourself, letting the enemy will cross any bridges in your life. If you're the one that keeps things going, then you gotta have positivity in your life. And if that means getting rid of certain people or blocking certain people out of your life who are incorporating negativity into that, then that's what needs to happen. But make sure you're identifying that properly, because the enemy's always going to define wrongdoing as something that holds him accountable for doing wrong to others. He's going to define evil as anything that opposes him from doing evil toward others. He's going to define terrorism as anything that keeps him from being able to enforce his will of terror on others. That is all that is. So make sure that you're not being used by the enemy to improperly define what holds you accountable. Because a lot of times you're going to feel as if something's coming against you when really all it's trying to do is help you see yourself so that you can be better. That's all it's trying to do in some cases, or help you see what is really not meant for you in whatever case that may be. And the enemy going to make you defend yourself against that for what's trying to save you. So that's what I'm trying to help people understand, man. Spiritual warfare. You can see it as an application in different areas of your life, whether it be in your personal life, whether you see it in the world today, whether you see it in somebody else's life as they tell you a story or two. Trust me, the enemy ain't never going to create nothing new. He always going to do the same old stuff because there's only a few ways he can work. Confusion, misdirection, sin, doubt, fear. It has to be some type of thing like that if he can nestle himself in and convince the subject to move his way. And when he does that, then he can use his energy to convert others to doing the same thing. My name is BDF 44. I thank y'all for watching.